Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this special edition of CANTO Conversations. Today's session is all about the future of networks and how we can ensure that they are built to withstand the test of time. MAVENIR has been a true pioneer leading the industry with Open RAN and delivering award-winning solutions. Their work drives automation and monetization for over 300 communication service providers in more than 120 countries around the world. Their expertise in AI-enabled and cloud-native networks is reshaping the telecommunication landscape globally. And today, we'll be diving into how their solutions can benefit the Caribbean in our digital transformation journey. I'm honored to introduce you to Mr. Antonio Correa, Senior Regional Vice President for Southern Europe, the Caribbean, and Latin America at MAVENIR. With over 20 years of in the telecommunications industry, Antonio leads global account management and has played a key role in helping operators transition to next-generation networks. Before joining MAVENIR, he had held several leadership roles at Oracle and Nokia, managing key accounts across the Caribbean and Latin America. So Antonio is no stranger to our region, our unique challenges and opportunities, and he brings a wealth of knowledge that is incredibly relevant to this region. Before we begin, and I hand over to him, I would like to remind everyone that we'll have a question and answer session after Antonio's presentation. So feel free to submit your questions in the chat as we go along. Also, if time permits, we'll open up the mic for you to interact with Antonio and suggest some topics and themes you would like to discuss with MAVENIR in the future. So now let's dive into today's discussion. Antonio, as we say when we're face to face, the floor is yours, but it's my pleasure to say, Antonio, the screen is yours.
Teresa, thank you. Thank you very much for this opportunity to be here again. As Teresa mentioned, I was participant in the CANTO conference 3 months ago in Miami. I received positive feedback, and the CANTO organizers invited me to expand my topic to a larger audience today. So in this session, I'll revisit some of the key topics or points that I presented in Miami, and I'll dive deeper into the Caribbean economic challenges. As I mentioned, during Miami, the island economy is heavily reliant on tourism, very vulnerable to climate change and the pandemic. So I'll introduce how digital economy can actually drive new growth in the Caribbean. I'll provide also a global perspective. There are lessons learned that we can actually bring to the Caribbean and expand the economy rapidly, and why the Caribbean should embrace it as soon as possible. Lastly, I'll have introduced a couple of slides regarding MAVENIR. MAVENIR is a pioneer in the telco sector, and we can provide modern open AI networks that can help you to grow in the long term. With that, let's begin. The agenda, I'll cover those 3 topics. The first one, I will embrace some numbers about the economic drivers in the region. Then we'll expand on these opportunities and how I suggest to embrace the digital economy in sectors like fintech, e-commerce, digital services to bring resilience to. Then I'll share the global perspective from global GDP, summarizing the importance of this digital connectivity and how 5G plays a key role in this area. And finally, expanding to the telco contribution and particularly for MAVENIR. With that, the Caribbean, I know really well. I actually had the opportunity to live in this region 4 years, and I have been attending it in my past life and now with MAVENIR. So it's a very diverse and different region with more than 26 countries and 44 million population. The market has own specific challenges. having large islands with more than 12 million and very small islands with less than 5,000 people. This also impacts, of course, the visitors, is impacted by the tourism that doubles or triples even more the population through the year. And stress also the other telecom infrastructure, which still largely relies on 2G, 3 networks, 2G and 3G networks. So operators also face high costs and local consumers continue to pay very high prices for very outdated services. So this evolution is crucial for the Caribbean. As other regions have already shut off 3G and planned to sunset 2G, the cost per bit on the 5G is much cheaper and open the opportunity for new services. And governments and industries can benefit from that. So the GDP can actually benefit to grow the economy in implementing these new solutions. I would like to share here some statistics from one of the contributors for the Caribbean. This is a report from Marla Dorland. She highlights that most of the Caribbean islands are heavily dependent on tourism. This is a study for 10 years and shows more than 50% actually the tourism is contributing more than 40% to the GDP. So if I compare this trend through the years, this is a 50-year study in the Caribbean, and you can see the impact that we have over COVID. We can compare this trend is mirroring the global trend. So the world GDP had evolved from relying on assets like tourism, as the same as the Caribbean, land, oil and gas industries, but they have evolved into getting the investment focus into the digital economy today. And that's the topic that I would like to introduce now. How the new gold is digital, how the software and data are becoming the new key drivers for economic value. So this is a white paper information from last year, 2023, that shows that the global economy is already producing 41 trillions, coming from 51 countries and contributing to the GDP. With that, the study also shows that by next year, more than 50% of the world GDP will be actually benefiting, will be generated by software, by intangible assets, not more traditional natural resources. So during my presentation, I try to simplify what is digital economy, so everybody is in the same page and see how can we actually contribute to this growth. So I put 4 basic letters: A, B, C, D. A for artificial intelligence and machine learning, B for big data, C for cloud computing, and D for digital infrastructure. With that, I would like to highlight that we will focus on the digital infrastructure, which is the base for the economic, for digital economy growth. Okay. So moving into the status of 5G today, 5G is, I would like to present some of the status and also some of the challenges that I see and how can we actually learn from those statistics to apply it into the Caribbean. So worldwide, the 5G is evolving rapidly. The adoption for 5G is actually happening much faster than the previous G. It took 9 years to 4G to reach more than 1.5 billion users. 5G did it in less than 5 years. There is already close to 40% of the worldwide population covered by 5G, and coming today from 360 networks that are live today. There are still some challenges. The spectrum distribution costs, the legacy network costs, still is something that we like to address into this conversation. So government must incentivize the operators to use the spectrum in an efficient way, so the local communities and industry can actually benefit from this. I put here a couple of examples. Of course, US and European Union are progressing and supporting this trend. But I put some example from the Latin American market too. Brazil, for example, moved out some of the revenue coming from the auctions and prioritize the licenses to provide rural coverage. Brazil understands, the government from Brazil understands that it's very important to bring broadband access to all industries or all communities, not only for government use, but also for agriculture, for industries to develop in that area. On the other side, countries like Mexico, they have been putting very high spectrum costs, delaying operators to actually evolve their networks. So this has slowed down the economic growth. 2G, 3G, as I mentioned, is being sunset in the other parts of the world. Governments are promoting to use the spectrum efficiently. 5G brings much lower cost per bit, and that's why they are cleaning out the legacy network to apply that spectrum toward 5G, and also to reduce OpEx coming from those legacy networks. Operators are doing the same, are trying to break that vendor lock-in, trying to remove some of the OpEx costs. It's not easy to keep several networks in parallel and paying high OpEx. They are also promoting RFPs that are incentivizing open architectures, open APIs, including Open RAN also, to promote new vendors, to promote flexible architectures and avoid the vendor lock-in. So from the experience that we have a couple of months ago in CANTO, I would like to highlight this digital growth, the gigabyte society, the sustainability is also being promoted by CANTO, annual conference, the CANTO Connect. But this is a three-leg effort. I would say it's not just local governments like CANTO is promoting. Operators need also to embrace this necessity, and also the technology partners like MAVENIR. So from the participants that we saw during the event in CANTO in Miami, we saw, and actually today in today's conference, I also saw participants from all areas, vendors, government, and operators. And everybody's embracing the same key message about digital growth, digital economy, and sustainability. I highlighted from that meeting in Miami, one of the key messages that was coming from one of the operators about having no money to actually evolve their networks to 5G. We have seen that there are islands that are already going into that direction, and the money and the benefits are tangible. So I think that getting rid of legacy costs benefits the operator, first of all, the local subscribers, and of course the industries and government related to that. So getting to conclusion, I will say there are two key ingredients to actually make this transition from traditional 2G, 3G legacy usage and consumption networks that I would like to highlight here in today's presentation. So one is the policy shift. It's a mindset that governments and operators need to embrace, and it's happening in the rest of the world. And the second one is on shifting from on the vendor side to build open networks, AI-based networks that can actually benefit from this fixed and mobile broadband that we can provide with 5G. So operators can still rely on, I highlight here some of the issues that the local Caribbean is having, the local operators. Having very high costs, operating costs, maintaining outdated infrastructure, paying traditional vendors this legacy network that had not evolved through the years. This is also related to the inefficient use of the spectrum that doesn't allow to introduce high speed or data-rich services like 4G, 5G are doing nowadays. The limited capacity and the speed of the legacy network cannot support modern data demands or IoT or new services. The quality, poor quality networks, I mean, those are issues that everybody is familiar in the Caribbean that we need to innovate. So why 5G? I see the 5G brings open the ecosystem of opportunities that we can implement. I mentioned the lower cost per bit. 5G dramatically reduces this cost per bit, delivering data and allowing operators to actually handle traffic without proportional increasing costs. the higher bandwidth efficiency of the spectrum, 5G enables this utilization of that extra spectrum that is coming from the higher frequencies, but 5G can also be applied to low, mid, and lower frequencies to provide coverage, proper coverage, and to implement new services. Enhance the network capacity and put future-proof architecture that can be delivered with the 5G. So those are examples of how the rest of the world is actually implementing and being showing that it's proven success on the deployment that we have today. The second leg that I mentioned is the technological partners like MAVENIR. So MAVENIR was born in 2005, and since the very beginning came as a software-only platform from the very beginning to disrupt the market. We were born focused on core and VAS platforms, but we complemented our portfolio now with Open RAN. So we have been able to now compete end-to-end with the traditional legacy vendors to be an alternative platform to deliver end-to-end solutions in the telco world. By the way, MAVENIR is the only end-to-end American company that is providing these end-to-end solutions with open architecture. I like this slide that I presented before because kind of combine the industry trend through the years, how it had evolved to open architecture to benefit from the IT world, and summarize how the MAVENIR portfolio so expanded to be a true end-to-end vendor provider. So from the internet origin that was born for the IT sector with open architecture to the devices that were added to benefit and to communicate to the internet, that all these end-to-end pieces of the network from the consumer to the applications are open. The network had evolved little by little to also benefit from that and to merge telco and IT. So the infrastructure, nowadays, nobody questions that the infrastructure needs to be open. We benefit from the evolution of the servers on the cloud. It could be private cloud or could be public cloud on an hybrid cloud for implementation, but nobody questions that delivering software on open hardware, open servers standards, we can actually deliver cheaper networks, and we can also deliver innovate faster to an open community. MAVENIR portfolio, as I mentioned before, was born in the core. So initially voice core, and then expanding into the VAS area, value-added services, including security, including billing. We expanded into packet core, 4G and 5G now. And then the last piece that was pending to open in the industry was the radios, the RAN, which, by the way, is the area where the cost of the network is the majority. Feedback from operators normally comes 70 or 80% of the cost. CapEx and OpEx come from the access area. And that was the only portion, even today, that is not completely open. So with Open RAN, this part of the network evolves. That's the only way, actually, that the industry recognizes nowadays, even the legacy vendors, that is the only way to promote future-proof architecture, future-proof network deployed, including open solution for the access part on the radio. So just to summarize on MAVENIR portfolio and where can we contribute, I mentioned I would like to summarize the business unit that we have. We have MAVCore to focus on the core area, voice core and packet core and messaging. We have MAVER that introduced radios. For the first time, we actually added hardware into our portfolio with intellectual property designed by MAVENIR, and also covering not only fixed and mobile opportunity, but also small cells and non-terrestrial networks. We included and expanded on what we call MAP apps. Is all the BSS portfolio from MAVENIR the security suite. MAVScale is to introduce where MAVENIR is actually spending a lot of R&D effort introducing artificial intelligence to make sure that all this architecture is automatized for deployment, automatized for operations and support. And lastly, we can bring all this portfolio to the edge, where we can actually deploy private networks or remote solution. That is the trend and is necessity for the use cases that you see in the 5G. This is a summary of our global presence. In terms of territory, we are an American company, of course, covering all the Americas, but we have a very strong presence in Europe, Middle East, and Asia Pacific. This is just a sample of our tier 1 customers, of course, tier 2, tier 3, that we have a long-term relationship, happy customers, I would say. And I would like to conclude with a couple of success stories, just to see everything that I'm mentioning here is a reality today. So one of the examples is a greenfield deployment where an operator in Cala, actually in Bermuda, asked us to deliver an end-to-end solution. We partner also with AWS to do the implementation. AWS doesn't have a full cloud solution deployed in the island, so we had a mixture, an hybrid cloud, where part of the solution is deployed in public cloud, but part of the solution is also deployed locally in a private cloud that we provided end-to-end to this customer. The objective was clear: to enter with a full cloud-native 4G, 5G solution. We implemented, it's live today, and we are expanding in other islands in the Caribbean. That includes all our portfolio, as I mentioned before, back core, for voice core, packet core, messaging, all the BSS, and also all the Open RAN. And we also acted as a system integrator to integrate the only thing that we don't have in our portfolio, the transmission, like microwaves or fiber optic, but we can integrate that with third-party agreements that we have, or even infrastructure like power, batteries, cabinets. So we are the single end-to-end point of contact for all the solution. The results we have achieved, being the operator with the less spectrum available in the island, they have been already awarded several awards for having the most innovative network, the fastest network in the island. And we are now looking to add, to combine spectrum to even reach higher capacities in this network. The other example is a brownfield operator, also in the Caribbean region, that actually promoting the CANTO event, some of the t-shirts that everybody enjoyed. They have a legacy network from another vendor, but they opened the door for MAVENIR to bring some innovation into the voice core first, then we expanded into the BSS, and now we are also expanding into the RAN area. With that, I would like to conclude with this slide that is summarize the benefits of evolving the network that is available today, future-proof, with cloud-native and AI-enabled. And this is actually the vision from MAVENIR, where we implement AI across the whole network. All the R&D that we are doing for AI is not just for MAVENIR products. We are extending this multi-vendor, so we can apply this to competitor network too. We promote the multi-cloud solution, multi-platform for benefit, putting all the applications, 5G, AI, and any other application into a single cloud. And with AI combined, trying to reduce the energy footprint, which is one of the concerns globally because of the higher consumption that we have with AI and 5G. So these technologies can apply and transform the society in all the areas, in transport, in governments, in the vertical for e-banking and automation, etc. With that, I would like to conclude and open the floor for questions. Teresa, the key message for the Caribbean is you have one of the key assets to attract people, which is tourism with nice beaches. You have the potential to attract tech roamers nowadays that they can work from anywhere in the world. You provide together with the local operators and with partnering with the right vendors, you can extend this fixed and mobile broadband everywhere. So the tourism industry will benefit, the government will benefit, bringing those applications to other industries, agriculture, education, government security, and the industry can also evolve into monetizing some of those use cases. What I have seen in different regions and different countries with the investment that actually governments are promoting is that the development that those local industries, even universities or startups from the local country are creating for this digital infrastructure for 5G, for example, they can apply not only to the country, but they can expand that to the rest of the world. So this economy actually, or this new revenue stream comes to the GDP contribution to each country, because now it's a single common architecture for the rest of the world. So with that was my last conclusion. Thank you.
Thank you, Antonio. That was very enlightening. So we will open the floor for questions, for some interaction with Antonio. Just raise your hand if you have a question. The facilitators will open up the mic. I have a question from you and for you, Antonio. So from what you are seeing in the Caribbean, yes, tourism is a big part of our product in the islands. What kind of uptake you are seeing? I know you've worked in different dispensations with Caribbean operators, but is the industry ready to switch, or is it, or are they still waiting on, as you said, funding, investments, and stuff like that?
They have a very, very good question, Teresa. I think that we had too many scenarios here to respond to your question. First scenario is greenfield operator. I think not only the case that I just presented with Paradise, we can see that in other examples around the globe. Dish in the US, for example, is also a greenfield deployment, but that is MAVENIR is powering with all the access to this customer. Greenfield deployments is no-brainer that we should deploy it within this new architecture with open interfaces that can be monetized. So, and that architecture is actually cheaper. As I said, the cost per bit in 5G, not having the legacy hurdles of the cost coming from those legacy networks is the way to proceed. In the case of the Caribbean, or the case of the majority of the operators in the world, they have a legacy network that they have not been able to evolve to 5G because of the, what they said, the high cost of the 5G, for example. Reality is that that vendor lock-in, when operators try to introduce competition, as you know, competition incentivize better prices and better R&D evolution, or better technology evolution. When they try to introduce the new technologies, they still feel a lack of a big lustre of the legacy technology, the cost that is there. So what the operators or the customer are doing is actually moving forward to shut down networks, even with the impact that that brings, but adapting the networks or the subscriber base to reuse the new networks. That's how the majority of the operators are shutting down 3G first, because 3G is the most expensive G from all the Gs right now in the telco, in terms of the cost per bit, let's put it that way. So once that the 3G is off, 2G continue to remain as a layer to handle, let's say, legacy traffic or roaming. And they have evolved those frequency bands and the new architecture to 4G and 5G. The true benefits actually come from 5G SA, but as you know, the terminals or the migration from the subscriber base is not there yet. It's moving fast. I think that will be probably less and less, but it will continue for a couple of years. But for legacy network, the recommendation will be try to get rid of or minimize the legacy networks. If you can shut down one of the 2 or 3Gs, I would suggest the 3G first, then make that investments into 5G. And then try to shift, as I put in one of my slides, from that traditional voice consumption output coming from legacy business that it was commoditized. Long distance and roaming disappeared, for example, in the Caribbean. That was a big revenue stream thanks to the OTTs. So there are new opportunities with this digital economy that there are use cases can be monetized. So in IoT, machine to machine is a big opportunity in 5G. Fixed wireless access, I mentioned that's one of the proven use cases that is real today with 5G. So I think that we need to put focus where the money is and then use that common infrastructure to do more things.
Okay, understood. So, Antonio, you spoke about policy shift, and one of the key things to advancing to innovative and future-proof networks. How do you see, because the Caribbean region is such, and we have different countries and different jurisdictions, how do you see policy shift affecting or influencing operators and other service providers to change their networks?
Yeah, I think the most obvious one is the traditional large governments like US or China that are putting a strong focus, they're putting incentives from government perspective into this shift into evolving the whole economy into digital economy and enabling the infrastructure that support all the growth in the digital economy. That's 5G. So that's why you see this geopolitical situation between the large countries. In the Caribbean, I see the CANTO organization that combines different governments and promote or unify the different regulators through the Caribbean to try to have a common conversation. I think that you should be promoting that. What I have seen, that from government, but what I have seen also from the operator perspective, I mean, very large operators, I mean, a Caribbean network for an operator is, let's say, it's a small investment, or it's a small cost in CapEx and in OpEx because of the size of the islands. When you go through very large network or very large operators, Vodafone, Telefonica, or even AT&T in the US, which is a single operator. So group operators or large operators, they have actually pushed the industry promoting those RFP that if the vendor doesn't accommodate to this necessity to have open networks, they will not invite them to be part of the networks anymore. So of course they have legacy, but they are pushing the industry. So that's how last year, for example, the 2 European vendors took that decision. You saw the news, for example, AT&T pushing into that direction of one of the large vendors. Vodafone did the same in Europe. He put a group RFP that involves several countries, and they said if Open RAN is not there as an evolution path for the legacy vendors, then they will not consider them. So the industry or the operators is also pushing into that direction. So I think it's a combined effort of trying to expand the competition at the vendor level. When I joined this industry, there were more than 20 different providers in telco industry. Nowadays, there are only, I would say, 5. I mean, the 2 Chinese, the 2 Europeans, and MAVENIR from the US.
Okay, got you. So that's understood. So you're saying, if I understand you correctly, is about collaboration and promotion of best practices.
Correct. Government having aligning to the 5G standard, by definition is open. It's based on HTTP from the IT signaling. Let's put it that way. There is no more telco, SIGTRAN, SS7 signaling. So if we embrace that open architecture, that's what the government need to promote so they can combine and benefit from this migration between telco and IT sectors. Operators should do the same because operators are also suffering that this evolution is not happening rapidly. The sooner that they can actually do it, the better. And third one is promoting competition. MAVENIR is an alternative and a good option to the market, actually promoting this disruption, bringing open architecture from day one.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Antonio, for sharing these valuable insights with us today. It is clear that modernization and innovation are key to unlocking the full potential of our networks and ensuring a sustainable digital future for the Caribbean. To our audience, I want to give a last call. Your mics are open if you have any questions for Antonio. Remember, MAVENIR is a winning innovator. If you have any questions, suggestions for topic, now is the time to do so. I want to take this opportunity to share a couple exciting announcements from CANTO, from the Secretariat. Our next CANTO conversation, Leading the Charge, Evolving Business-to-Business Sales and Marketing in the Caribbean, will be held on Thursday, the 24th of October at 10 a.m. I encourage you to join us and the marketing committee as we dive into this exciting and timely topic. And of course, don't forget, it's not too early to mark your calendars for CANTO Connect and AGM happening in the beautiful island of Curacao from the 26th to the 28th January 2025. It's going to be the first event that CANTO is delivering for the year, and for the year 2025, and it's an incredible opportunity for rich content and top-tier networking. So make sure you register early and don't miss out on this opportunity. So before I close, I want to give a last call. Any questions in the chat? Anyone wants to engage with Antonio? Maybe you want another topic discussed from MAVENIR?
Maybe Teresa, I would like to make a final comment from my side to open the opportunity to have one-to-one workshops with the Caribbean operators to actually expand on those topics. I presented at very, very high level. I didn't want to do a MAVENIR presentation here. It was more putting the perspectives of how the digital economy is growing in the rest of the world. So I would like to bring this conversation at a local level to expand and actually dive deeper into the solution that MAVENIR can provide. Okay.
Excellent, and thank you for that, Antonio. We will certainly follow up with you on that. We would talk to the operators and put them in touch with you for these workshops, because this information would be really valuable for us. So once again, thank you, Antonio, for your time and sharing your expertise with us this morning. And to our audience, thank you all for being part of today's CANTO conversation. Have a wonderful day, and always remember, stay connected within the CANTO community. Thank you.
Thank you, CANTO.